You open your eyes to gray light and an empty stomach. Not hungry the way you get hungry before lunch. Hungry the way that starts to feel like a countdown. The ground is dry, cracked in places, and the air smells like dust instead of rain. No trees loaded with fruit, no river full of fish, just scrub, wind, and silence where birdsong should be. You stand up, turn in a slow circle, and realize something that hits harder than the cold. There is nothing obvious to eat anywhere. For you, nothing in the fridge means ordering takeout. For the people who actually lived through stretches like this, it meant your next meal might be 4 days and 40 miles away if you were lucky. Right now, somewhere, a person is scrolling past a dozen delivery apps, mildly annoyed that nothing sounds good. That's the whole emotional range most of us have for food scarcity pickiness. 80,000 years ago, during colder, drier swings in the climate, food scarcity wasn't a mood. It was a mathematical problem with your survival as the answer key. Calories in had to beat calories burned searching for calories, or you started losing. That gap annoyance versus arithmetic is the thread running through this whole story, and by the end you'll see it never actually closed. It just got buried under convenience. So how do you actually starve out here? There are 3 specific ways, and none of them look like the movies. The first is simple caloric collapse, not dramatic, just relentless. Around this period, parts of Africa were shifting into colder, drier climate phases, part of a broader shift researchers call marine isotope stage 4, which reduced plant growth and pushed animal populations to migrate or thin out. Translation: the food that used to be reliably nearby stopped being reliable. Walk further, burn more energy, find less. Do that math wrong for even a week or 2, and your body starts breaking down muscle just to keep your brain running. There's no fallback snack drawer. There's just less, over and over. The second way is nutritional gaps that look survivable until they aren't. Finding calories isn't the same as finding what your body actually needs. A diet of starchy roots alone, without enough protein or fat, can quietly wreck you over weeks' weakened immunity, slower healing, poor decision-making from a starved brain. Skeletal evidence from this broad period across Africa shows signs of stress lines in bone and teeth, called Harris lines, and enamel hypoplasia, which form when growth is interrupted by serious nutritional shortfall. Translation: bodies were literally recording the bad seasons in their bones. Think about that for a second, your skeleton, keeping a diary of every time food ran short. And the third way is the one that turns scarcity into extinction risk: competition. When food thins out, you're not just fighting the landscape, you're fighting everyone else who also needs that landscape, other groups, and other predators after the same shrinking pool of animals. Some researchers point to a major population bottleneck around this window, a period when the genetic evidence suggests human numbers dropped sharply, and food stress combined with a harsher climate is one of the leading explanations on the table, alongside the effects of the massive Toba volcanic eruption roughly 74,000 years ago, which some scientists argue worsened conditions further, though that link is still debated. Either way, the pattern's the same. Less food doesn't just mean less food. It means fewer people making it to the next season. Caloric collapse, nutritional gaps, competition, 3 quiet ways an empty landscape becomes a death sentence. But here's the thing. This is also exactly the period where we see some of the sharpest evidence of humans getting smarter about survival, not stronger. Smarter, the first strategy was radically expanding what counted as food. Archaeologists call this diet breadth, and at sites like Sibudu Cave in South Africa, researchers led by Lynn Wadley have found evidence dating to around 77,000 years ago of an incredibly wide diet: small game, shellfish, plant bulbs, even evidence of controlled use of fire to make certain tough plant foods digestible. Translation: when the big, easy calories disappeared, they didn't wait around and starve with dignity. They got creative, fast, eating things a hungrier but less flexible species would have ignored. The second strategy was information specifically. remembering where scarce resources were and passing that knowledge on with total precision, knowing which valley still had water in a drought, which root only appeared after a specific season, which coastline had shellfish beds that knowledge had to move between people and across generations perfectly, because a wrong guess wasn't an inconvenience. It was a death sentence for whoever trusted it. This is also the period linked to some of the earliest sustained evidence of complex, planned behavior, like the bedding found at Border Cave, roughly contemporary with this window, made from layered grass and treated with ash and specific insect-repelling plant leaves, which shows deliberate, repeated environmental problem-solving, not just improvisation. And the third strategy was mobility with purpose, not wandering, but calculated movement. Groups tracked resources across huge distances with real intent, following predictable patterns in animal migration and seasonal plant growth instead of hoping to stumble onto food. That kind of planning requires holding a mental map of a landscape across months, maybe years, and updating it as conditions changed. It's an early, unglamorous version of logistics, and it's the reason some groups made it through repeated bad seasons, while others simply didn't. Eat more broadly. Remember precisely. Move with intention. None of that sounds heroic. It's not supposed to. It's the boring, methodical stuff that actually wins against starvation, which, again, is the whole point. And here's the callback. You do all three of these things constantly, just so smoothly you've stopped noticing. Your grocery list, your go-to-backup meals, the restaurant you default to when nothing sounds good that's diet breadth. The same flexible, expand your options instinct that kept a group alive at Sabudu Cave, just running through a supermarket aisle instead of a drought-stricken valley. The recipe you remember from your grandmother, the don't eat there, it made me sick once warning you pass to a friend. That's the exact same information transfer instinct that once meant the difference between a poisoned plant and a safe one. And your commute, your regular grocery run, your sense of which route gets you there efficiently, that's calculated mobility. The same planning instinct that once tracked herds across a continent just shrunk down to a 15-minute drive. The hunger never really left. We just built a world efficient enough that it rarely gets the chance to speak up. Somewhere underneath every mildly annoyed scroll through a delivery app, there's an 80,000-year-old survival strategy, still quietly running in the background, just waiting for a landscape that never actually shows up anymore.